Anafono mechecha munyina mamunyina kwa ababa di announcer newspaper so ene eye fiada enche na Ghana ekoto aba enti ene ye fiada Ghana baba akoto aba eye ejuada akoyi omampanyini na anafono obi anim se emra na aduru no eye mra ewo se Ghana fo ema omani da ho paayi ma woni na ho na adada ni nkontompo a wo mo etwa no adofo no entie na se wutie eniama a NDC fo ya wanhwe niye wo beka se mehu yanka na so aka akiri enti baabi aduru ne baabi a wankasa no hwe wasetenam dekoto aba Mahama be di president na on the obe supervised create loot and share ekwan yo mofa so ebewia enti omo hyehye say yen hyehye ni sei na yen loot ni sei na yen share eno na Mahama on betena akonya so omo yeye baabi aduru ne baabi a ewo se Ghana fo obia manani edaho that's why ba woni na ho na wankoto aba ni ye a wankasa obeka se mihu yanka na so aka akire Kuranu Mahama penso ekoso sika wo mu wie gu o mu botom enya asem ketwa say information bi ekuta me eye serious na adafonum de enti ase Mahama wonti min ka Kevin Taylor asem ni nyina no ekuta me dam nsem sisi a Kevin Taylor kuta pen drive allegedly say okuta pen drive bi ansem bi ewo so efa Mahama ho na sansem na ewo so no enya asem ketwa it is a babontia ene Mahama be ye say dum na me information kire say nipa bebre wo Mahama ho no ebinum anim sansem no ena akodi Kevin Taylor allegedly say ewo no ho sisi it Mahama ya hwe o say wanye to blackmailing na akwese compulsory the obeka atem obedidi bi obeye bia no o say Mahama miana no na ni nyina ade say de be dwirim pa na akoso de be na akoso a wonim eni ma akoso o Mahama penso dwirim die katase hye proya akoso ebra na o ye president and ebra na o ye vice president eba say semu de bia say ya meka ho asem na menka ho asem one day every day bia me program bia meka ho asem na hwe say o mampanyini a wote akonwa so ana no e vice president na mode Ghana mokoton Ghana di say eye mokoje bribes sika kase every abas for na mo betwa nkontompo kire Ghana for mo giska gu mo botom na mo de contract amom ensem wanyina ba abontin ensem wanyina ba abontin Ghana for ahu mo twiri mo die mo kata asehye mo broya amaye NPP amanyokuo aye press conference ene na me the press conference ne nsem ebeba amamon omo nsem mo de atudwa no ahye papa NPP na ora Mahama wo pa akonyan mo de mo musa se obetuna akonya so oye den e ma Ghana de be potin na Mahama oye ma Ghana o kan kire Ghana man dwirimu die kata asehye project e no mo be ye Mahama betuna akonya so wayomi Shesika omukotua ma wayomi omu create judgment debt create loot and share ena omu eyeyeye sebe ya Ghana sika omenya adaje nya mmere edi na arehoseme wom ni se sa boni we ya omu ye Ghana man no omu fi so mawie omafo omu humadi ba ma menka nkira o na ado owe ni bie ma eno na meka se Mahama wonim se ye likely so be ko jail eniti e was so pere no ho pere no ho about we wan lusu awie enso mo Ghana nya so e na mutwa nkontompo mu hunahuna Ghana fo se show enen sama aba abonte na nya nsam ketwa dwirimu die ne keta asehye a Mahama penso e course no adafonum esewani na enso ka kire na eniema akoso Mahama pemuno. So we Ghana ni na wutie me a. Husana nado waba be Ghana pa. Na wabeboa wo man no. Wabeyi o man na firi o hawo ene amanehunu ni atiti mu a Mahama ede Ghana fa so. Say NPP amanyokuo omo press conference no mo ye no. Me de munsam kakra ebramo. Na mo tie ensema Mustafa Hamid wona ye press conference no wodi tuja. Na boa wo tie bi wo wasuma. Opanyi na ye press conference no. Na wo tie bi wo wasuma. Bo se Mahama wo di Ghana fo awu. Wa ya Ghana fo abro a wo sa president. Wa ya Ghana fo abro papa Mahama. What you say Mahama de odi aya Ghana my dear adofo nom. Enti se wo tie me na se wo tie de me ka sese ya. Hu se eye wo life on kwa na de koto aba. Enhwe Mahama anim fa aba ne kosi ne so. Na Mahama wa disappoint Ghana fo. Enema wa ye no am Ghana fo nim no. Se Ghana fo bomodi hu Mahama pa se de usiti a. Eko bia be hwe de hu yi. Dwirimu die pa ne ketase hye. Ene niema Mahama aye e wo Ghana. Na osape president. Opesa Ghana fo sa akoto abama no. Opesa Ghana fo sa akwhwe no na omoto abama no. Na so se Mahama wa disappointed say wa ye Ghana fo abro papa. Enei e say wono akasa no. Na ni bi da biri nyina no. Wo say Airbus deal no obeko jail. Very soon. Enti I was say oyeye niema bi ase Ghana fo tia. Ebeye te say oh na sami na say na etisa na de na mama ti pra wo pere no ho no. Enti no mo share da kofa na adu video ebaye no. Video amo nim say anya ne kware. Na adu onye corrupt. Na adu onkoje obi esika. So because of a president. Video amo de ba mo say na adu koje bribe 2017. Video is 2016 October. Eye bone a ehye mutiri no. Da bia mo pese o my Ghana. Mo de o my Ghana ko akire be some years back. Yentina ho mamo nye saade no. Yentina ho to Mahama mamo nye saade no. Mahama omo create loot and share government na womo ye no. Emina so say yes expose omo. Mustafa Hamid were press conference on behalf of NPP. Na mutie sema Mustafa Hamid and the two that
see corruption as an issue in this election is because they know that President Akufo-Addo is today building 5 interchanges with the same amount of money that candidate Mahama built 2, Kasua and Circle Dubai. It does not feature because Ghanaians see where government revenues are going. They see that government is spending billions of cedis and putting it back into the pockets of families through the free SHS, through small loans, through LEAP, through free water, through subsidized electricity, and good roads at less cost and fewer public procurement contracts through sole sourcing. But at the same time, Ghanaians have also been asking what actions were taken in the last 4 years to prosecute cases of corruption by the previous government. 55 accused persons have been prosecuted and some convictions. We have been tougher on corruption. We established the office of the special prosecutor, amended the law relating to asset declaration to provide for punishment for false declaration and non-disclosure, including for forfeiture of appointment. We have increased the jail term for corruption by amending the Criminal Offences Act 1960, Act 29, to make corruption a felony rather than a misdemeanor. We have passed the Right to Information Act after 2 decades of lobbying. We have set up the Whistleblowers Act. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, we know an era in this Ghana called the era of create, loot, and share. And we know those who superintended over the affairs of Ghana in the years of create, loot, and share. Under the create, loot, and share era, the state paid over $450 million in dubious and bogus judgment debts. Today, we have saved the state $13 million in challenging judgment debts, including having 6 of such cases amounting to 100 million euros and 179 billion cedis dismissed. Yes, 179 billion cedis. Because African Automobile versus Accra Metropolitan Assembly alone involved 153 billion cedis, which the previous government would.
And Mustafa Hamid, no matter what is among
12 convictions so far and recovered 87 million cedis. Ladies and gentlemen, I can understand the disappointment of the Ghanaian people that nothing has happened so far in regards to the bribery case made internationally against candidate Mahama of the NDC. So bad is this case that candidate Mahama has not traveled to Europe or the United States since the issue broke in February 2020. Indeed, since March 2020, Ghanaians have been wondering when candidate Mahama will be interrogated over the 5 million euros bribery allegation. You remember the former special prosecutor said that because he's a candidate in this election, he didn't want to pursue him or invite him for questioning and etc., in case people interpret it as witch hunting. May we then surmise that candidate Mahama has thrown himself into this race in order to try and insulate himself from any investigation that may be pursued against him. In any event, it is important to inform the Ghanaian people that our focus is not a pursuit of candidate Mahama or vendetta against him or political witch hunting or whatever names that you would call it. Our focus today is to encourage the government of President Akufo-Addo to explore new steps to improve cooperation with our international partners in the fight against corruption. As you know, the consequences of corruption in our nation is far-reaching. Corruption leads a child of school age to be denied access to education because of lack of government funds. It can mean a pregnant woman meeting her untimely death whilst trying to give life as a result of inadequate livelihoods. That a woman dies because she's trying to give life as a result of inadequate resources. It can result in businesses collapsing and livelihoods being lost due to unreliable and erratic energy supplies. Corruption affects every single region, every single community, every single household, and every single individual in our country. That is why the Airbus corruption scandal should be of great concern to every Ghanaian. The fact that an international company was able to penetrate to the highest office of the land and further go on to pay bribes is an indictment on those who sold their integrity and used their public office for private gain. It is a scar on the conscience of those who were entrusted to seek for the common good of all Ghanaians, but instead were motivated by their personal pockets. That is why we are happy about the information from government that the Akufo-Addo government has begun moves to get for Ghana a fair share of the world record fines levied in the Airbus corruption scandal, in which Ghana was one of the countries most impacted by the corrupt transaction, which spanned 6 years. Read my lips, 6 years. 3 of them under candidate Mahama as vice president, and 3 of them under him as president. Since the Airbus company was paid by the hard-earned money of the Ghanaian people through government of Ghana contracts, we, the Ghanaian people, deserve to be remedied for what is rightly ours. And we will commend the president, Akufo-Addo, for pursuing our share of the $4 billion fine, which otherwise will go only to the 3 Western countries where the investigations took place. Government is aware that out of the 3.9 billion on fines imposed on Airbus, approximately $30 million relates to actions taken on the Ghana side. Government has since June this year been engaged with an international law firm with extensive experience in investigations and anti-corruption to see how they might best assist Ghana to repatriate its share of the fines. Government approach is not without precedent. For example, in 2008, the United States, Switzerland, and Kazakhstan established an NGO, the gov't Foundation, to manage the return of over $100 million that had been paid in bribes to top Kazakh officials through US and Swiss bank accounts. This process allowed the repatriated funds to be used towards projects of top importance to the Kazakh government, ultimately benefiting the Kazakh people. Again, in Kyrgyzstan, the US repatriated stolen assets from the prior Kyrgyz regime of Kurmanbek Bakiyev and his son Maxim, which had been identified in a New York insider trading case and which were collected and approved for repatriation. The Kyrgyz Republic agreed to use the funds to improve public access to healthcare and new water supply systems for rural populations. Government will propose that any share of the fines recovered be used exclusively to enhance the capabilities of Ghana's anti-corruption and law enforcement agencies. We will recall that former President Mahama and his family are embroiled in what was described by the US Department of Justice as, quote, the largest global foreign bribery case to date. The expanse of the crime was unearthed in a 3-country investigation with court documents released by the United States District Court for Colombia, case number 12CR000021 TFH. Francis Tribunal Judiciaire de Paris, reference PNF 16159000839, and the United Kingdom's Crown Court at Southwark, Royal Courts of Justice, case number U20200108, speaking to the complexity of the crime committed. The Airbus affair, which was jointly investigated by the UK's Serious Fraud Office, the French Parquet National Financier, and the United States Department of Justice, concluded that Airbus, quote, between 2009 and 2015, engaged intermediary 5, identified as Samuel Adam Mahama, John Mahama's brother, for the sale of 2 aircraft to the government of Ghana. An amount of £3.8 million was paid to the Mahamas before the exposure of the criminal activity. Despite the case having been exposed, however, the Mahama brothers continue to demand the rest of the bribe. They continue to demand that the rest of the bribe be rightfully paid to them, according to court documents. This is greed with impunity. Now, the case of fake documents. Ghana's case has been singled out due to the impunity linked to Mahama's determination to continue cashing in on bribes in the face of international exposure, when he directed his brother to set up a bogus company in Ghana to receive bribe payments. According to court documents, the 2 Mahama brothers, i.e. candidate John Mahama and Samuel Adam Mahama, confected fake documents in order to collect bribe money from Airbus after the company's compliance officials said they could not pay Samuel Adam Mahama's company because he was the brother of a sitting president. The fake documents were channeled through a Spanish company to cash the bribe money, which was then transferred to the Mahamas, i.e. candidate Mahama. In a separate corrupt deal with the company, John Mahama, as substantive president, had been working on another contract involving 3 more aircrafts with Airbus when the tide turned against him. This could have fetched him an additional 10 million euros or even more. In January 2020, Airbus agreed to pay combined penalties of more than $4 billion to resolve foreign bribery charges with authorities in the United States, France, and the United Kingdom, arising out of the company's scheme to use third-party businesses to partners to bribe government officials in several countries, including Ghana. Whichever way you look at it, ladies and gentlemen, a former Ghanaian president, John Mahama, has been accused in court documents appearing in 3 countries of his personal involvement in an international bribery scandal valued at 5 million euros. What this means is that John Mahama could soon face the international criminal justice system. This is the man who is on your ballot paper, and you, as a Ghanaian voter, will be handed that paper on Monday to choose your president for the next 4 years. You risk choosing a president who would be a fugitive in France, the United Kingdom, and the United States of America. Prosecutors in all three countries, in striking a deal with Airbus for the fines, made it clear that it would not stop them from pursuing the individuals involved. This means candidate Mahama risks arrest if he steps anywhere near those shores. Can you imagine a president of the Republic of Ghana who has an international arrest warrant on his head, who would not be able to travel freely abroad to fight and negotiate for Ghana? That, ladies and gentlemen, is the risk of voting for John Mahama. The alternative is indeed scarier than we all thought. Ghana would have a president facing criminal charges in three powerful strategic countries, our traditional development partners, as we say on the streets in Ghana, Tofiakwa. Now, on the question of huge financial kickbacks, the financing of terrorism and money laundering are serious crimes that have led major Western economies to rethink and examine their financial systems. Heads of governments around the world have generally shown a level of cooperation in the fight against money laundering and the financing of terrorism, and John Mahama's personal role in what is reported to be the biggest international bribery scandal puts the former president in a corrupt class of its own. The story begins with his swearing of the oath of office in 2009. Shortly after being named vice president of Ghana, John Mahama began talking to Airbus, a multinational company, about huge financial kickbacks in aircraft purchasing contracts. It was not his brother's deal initially. He introduced his brother to the deal only to collect the bribe cash on his behalf. We do not know what it is about John Mahama and aircrafts. Another brother brought after John Mahama became vice president. Again, following the death of President Atta Mills in 2012, a more empowered Mahama continued with the Airbus bribery negotiations when he became president, and even attempted to procure 3 more. He only stopped working on them when Airbus refused to pay an additional 1.8 million pounds, $1.8 million, which his brother Samuel Adam Mahama was demanding as arrears in bribe. Now, bribe also arrears. The late President Mills, according to his close allies, had launched investigations into an earlier Brazilian aircraft deal involving his vice president John Mahama, shortly before his health quickly deteriorated, leading to his death. Biggest global bribery scandal. But while the Brazilian aircraft deal has not received international exposure for its corruption, the Airbus bribery affair stands out in a crime that has been dubbed the biggest global bribery scandal. The criminal activity was carefully orchestrated during a 6-year period under the NDC, and at all material times in these 6 years, candidate Mahama was at the helm. Details of the corrupt Airbus deal were made public early 2020 when Mahama was identified in the United Kingdom's Crown Court documents as Government Official 1. Investigations spanning several years and continents led to a conclusion by fact finders from the United Kingdom, the United States, and France that Airbus executives who had worked with the former president had confessed to paying bribes through his brother Samuel Adam Mahama. Airbus was eventually found guilty by a high court in London and fined $4 billion in penalties. It is Ghana's share of these $4 billion penalties that President Akufo-Addo is pursuing in order to get back some of the money for our country, which we can then use to fund free SHS and fund roads and fund interchanges and do things that are worthwhile for the Republic of Ghana. The company, in light of fraudulent financial records, also admitted to paying huge bribes to government officials in Sri Lanka, Indonesia, and Malaysia, using family members of top officials to secure huge aircraft contracts. It is clear that the payment of government officials through relations was a model used by Airbus. Ghana's case, however, has attracted
Mustafa Hamid and Amatise or Kasano and Sembebre na wadi tuja
attracted greater international curiosity, as it was the only country where the bribery was organized at the highest level and directly through the office of its then president, John Dramani Mahama, from Bole in the Savannah region of the Republic of Ghana. Ghana's case, however, has attracted greater international curiosity. Let me repeat that. Because it was the only country amongst all these other countries I have mentioned where the bribery took place was organized at the highest level and directly through the office of its president. That president, for the avoidance of doubt, being John Dramani Mahama, son of E.A. Mahama from Bole in the Savannah region of the northern, or in the Savannah region of the Republic of Ghana. The bribes, valued at 5 million euros and organized through his younger brother, Samuel Adam Mahama, serving as an agent, were paid until 2015. We appreciate the extensive investigative work of our anti-corruption partners in the United States, France, and the United Kingdom. We also hope that in recognition of the fact that the Ghanaian taxpayer is more a victim than the Western nations mentioned, we may see a fair share of the restitution issued. We have confidence in the ability of our president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, to get Ghana a share of these fines. Ghana's share of the fines recovered, as I have said, may also be used to enhance the capabilities of Ghana's anti-corruption and law enforcement agencies. According to court documents from 2008 to 2015, Airbus engaged in a scheme to pay bribes to decision makers and government officials in several countries, including Ghana, to obtain improper business advantages. While the court documents do not directly list names of those involved in the case, investigative reporting has been able to definitively determine the names of individual 5 as Samuel Mahama, Adam Mahama, and government official 1, government official Bakope, as President John Dramani Mahama. The court documents note that contact between Airbus and the government of Ghana about aircraft sales began in June 2009, following an expression of interest by the government of Ghana. By August 2009, Airbus employee 15, senior Airbus SMO International, reported that he was in touch with government official 1 and his team. Paragraph 175, Regina versus Airbus SC UK High Court. All of these things I'm saying, I'm quoting court documents, established fact, not doctored tapes. Therefore, according to official court documents, candidate Mahama and former President Mahama, all one person, was in contact with Airbus a mere 7 months after being sworn into office as Vice President of Ghana. He started negotiating the deal himself before his brother was officially introduced to it, according to the court records. In any event, isn't it curious that a former president is accused directly in international courts of bribery, and to this day, he makes no effort at all to challenge those decisions or even to refute them? Official court documents make it clear that the company used as conduit was established in Ghana on December 7, 2009, in the UK, and also in the UK in February the following year, as 2010, with the same name to serve as an intermediary to receive the bribes. The company, Didum Limited, was jointly owned by Samuel Adam Mahama, known as Individual 5 or Intermediary 5 in the court documents, and Philip Middleness. Neither the company nor the directors had any previous experience dealing in this industry and were complete novices, according to the Suffolk Crown Court, Criminal Division of the UK High Court ruling. Now, when you go to seek a job, why? The first question that we ask around here and everywhere in the world, is it not about experience? Have you done this job before? It's a basic question that everybody asks. And then you take your brother to go and serve as an intermediary between Ghana and Airbus, who has never had any experience at all in Airbus or even aircraft transactions. Isn't that curious? When this was flagged up, the deception and corruption were further intensified by bringing in a Spanish company to front for bribe payments. The document states, and I quote, "The third party selected was a Spanish company, Intermediary 8, a pre-existing Airbus BP. Airbus employees agreed to deliberately circumvent the proper compliance process by falsely representing that the work in respect of the first campaign had been done by this company, who could in turn then make the money available to Intermediary 5 and others. Intermediary 8 had no previous links or experience of working in Ghana for any any Airbus entity," unquote. This is paragraph 191 in the Regina versus Airbus case. Former President Mahama's fingerprints are all over this corruption scandal. And indeed, it has been noted that on several occasions, he was blind copied into emails to various ministries in order to speed up the process. How cheap and embarrassing for an international firm dealing with a ministry, blind copy a whole vice president or president in emails. The only reason is that former President Mahama, candidate Mahama now, had a personal interest in the transaction and wanted to be fully informed, but without exposing to himself to his own subordinates. One such court document reads, and I quote, "On March 7, 2014, Airbus employee 16 emailed the Ghanaian Ministry of Defense, raising concerns about the lack of progress and requesting urgent action. Airbus employee 16 blind copied government official 1 and intermediary 5. Paragraph 205, Regina versus Airbus. Another one referring to the Ministry of Finance reads, and I quote, "On October 6, 2014, Airbus employee 16 emailed the Ghanaian Ministry of Finance with a broad overview of events thus far and saying it was urgent for the government to finalize the negotiation. Intermediary 5, government official 1, and another government official were blind copied into the email." Paragraph 206, Regina versus Airbus. Between 2009 and 2015, Airbus bribed Samuel Adam Mahama with approximately €4 million to induce his brother, former President Mahama, to use Ghanaian taxpayer dollars to buy Airbus.
All right, Inti Adofonum, Mati and Sema Air Koso and Sema Air
aircraft, including 3 C-295 military transport aircraft. The UK court's judgment reads, and I quote again, between March 2012 and February 2014, Airbus paid intermediary aid a total of £3,909,756, a sum in excess of the agreed commission amount as per the ECA declaration. Between April 10, 2012 and 31st July 2013, intermediary aid paid £3,850,115 to Company D. Intermediary aid retained £60,000, unquote, paragraph 196, Regina versus Airbus. When this transaction was brought to Parliament, and I want Ghanaians to recollect this incident in Parliament, because candidate Mahama says we have short memories. We don't. When this transaction was brought to Parliament, the then NPP minority raised an alarm about this Airbus deal and were concerned about its inflated costs and the rushed process to procure the aircraft. The then minority leader, Honorable Oseche Mensah Bonsu of Swami, is on record questioning the inflated price of the aircraft. If you Google it right now, you'll see the stories, this particular story on Ghana Web and all of our news portals. He questioned the inflated cost of the aircraft, which on the website of Airbus at that time was $22 million. Meanwhile, they had brought documents to Parliament seeking to buy these aircraft for 34.5 million euros. And Oseche Mensah Bonsu raised the alarm. He also registered his surprise at how a document could be sent to the Attorney General's office for advice. Then that advice was procured or secured the same day, then forwarded to the Minister for Finance for approval on the same day, and then forwarded to the office of the President. And I mean the office of President at that time, John Dramani Mahama, candidate Mahama of Bole, son of E.A. Mahama, sent to his office, and which approval was also granted the same day, 21st June 2011, and after that rushed to Parliament the same day. The approvals were expediently rushed through because of what the interested parties sought to gain. It is worth noting that while the Airbus company entered into a deferred prosecution agreement with the various international law enforcement agencies, the investigations into various individuals involved are still ongoing and will result in further prosecution. It is again worth noting that since judgment on the Airbus scandal was pronounced, and I have said this before, but I want to repeat, that former President Mahama has not traveled to the UK, mainland Europe, or the United States of America since then. Would Mr. Mahama like to offer an explanation to the people of Ghana as to exactly why he has been unable to travel to these countries? In the unlikely event that he gets elected as president once again, Ghanaians have a right to know if he's a man of international good standing and of his ability to represent Ghana in international affairs. The NPP would encourage all law enforcement agencies, both domestic and international, to pursue individuals involved in the scandal to the fullest extent of the law. And quite frankly, I find it inexcusable that we would say that because he's running for office or he's standing in an election, therefore he should not be questioned because it will be construed as witch hunting. I think that what we politicians do to this country is most unfair. That when we have served in office as government officials and we have dirtied our hands and sullied our reputation, that immediately thereafter, for fear of being asked to pay for our crimes, we run and we occupy party positions, national organizer, women organizer, party chairman, this, that, presidential candidate. so that immediately an attempt is made to bring us to account for our crimes, we say that, hey, we are witch hunting the chairman of a party or the candidate of a party. I think that crime is crime, and we should learn as a country not to insulate politicians who dirty their hands. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, there can be no safe haven for individuals who engage in bribery and corruption at the expense of those they purport to serve. The people of Ghana are all too familiar with the scandals that surrounded the Mahama-led NDC government. For 8 years, we were told that the government couldn't afford to pay its debts. We were told that teachers and nurses' allowances had to be cut because there was no money. We were told that nurses' training allowance had to be cut because there was no money. We were told that lecturers were at the brink of forfeiting their research allowances because there was no money. We were told that Ghana did not have enough resources to implement a free senior high school policy. Indeed, we were struggling to pay salaries in those years. Indeed, worse still, we ran to the IMF for a bailout because, as candidate Mahama put it at that time when he was president, they had eaten the meat to the bone, unquote. The reality is that they robbed the country blind. They plundered the country's resources for their own benefit. They picked all the meat clean off the bone and left the rest of us to clean up their mess and foot the bill. Since 2017, President Akufo-Addo and the NPP government has indeed cleaned up their mess. We have turned the country around and are back on track toward collective growth and prosperity. We cannot afford to return to the days of the NDC's mismanagement, incompetence, and corruption. We do not want to be sent back to the days of doing so, no chalk, and negative growth. On Monday, December 7th, we urge all Ghanaians to turn out en masse to protect our progress and give President Akufo-Addo 4 more years to do more for you. Vote number 1 on the ballot. Thank you, and God.
Okay, Mustafa Hamid, ena mote se odi ensem tudwa ono ena wakasaye odi ensem tudwa on behalf of New Patriotic Party NPP odi ensem tudwa. Asmo kan ya me de bebre ni se. Wose emereduru na obi okoye ne dwirim na emra se ne ne bedia. Na wadwane akoshe baabi se or president or MP or we enti emra na was any di sa amra no eni sa nipa no enni na afei ase otete baabi na mra na akoye bibibi e wo ho enti we no Ghana man me say we no dey very simple Martin sem ni nyina obi say very simple Ghana man Martin sem no former President John Dramani Mahama ontimi ntu kwan enko UK, France, and the United States. Enti enyame na America NPP neka na omasemo mobusa ne se dia benti na former president ontimi ntu kwan enko sa nkuro no because onimisa wakwa ye bekye no se Mahama nim na otu kwan enko sa nkuro no ma ye bekye no if we say Ebasi deal no aye ka ho asem. Eye deal na eye serious papa. Enya de amerwa edwo. Enya de aye didi agoro. Eye nsem a akoso a egu Ghana anim ase. Na Mahama what supervises a deal we. What supervises a deal we create loot and share. Ma bossa Ghana kronu we yakwaje bribes. We ayade a enisa Ghana man modidi agro. Yeso kwato abama na Mahama. Na se obeye president. Ontimi ntukwa enko America, ontimi ntukwa enko UK because osrosi election no. Na enya reho se of president a wajina tumta watu abade amano. Na obetu kwan na yakwache no. Wow, just imagine. Asemi enye areho na sana Ghana sa kwaye elections fofra na Ghana kwaye dey. Oh, enti we no aya me debebre ni se NPP ni abere anase abaye ni abere se o tu anamon na sika fine ma fine Ghana abaye ni niam bi ewom no sika wo se Ghana saka no Ghana saka sika ewom no na omote atimi develop oman Ghana ama oman no atumpon na ora Mahama betina akonya so we die issue Mustafa Hamid edited no a court documents and yes a video omako doctio and I say omabo mutrim na omoka a court documents so there utimi mekasa enye nokware ana yinkontompo na the most sadness aspect ni say asami ba yi enke expect say Mahama udini ebo say why you see Adenti na Mahama ma abontin emeyi ano eno ne question a Ghana for ebusa. And at least Mahama betima ba abontin no wabeka se eya no kore anayin kontompo ana se eba asefo ensema eba ye gina ekọ court no nya no kore. Na wa former president wa Ghana enim asese. Wa ma Ghana enim guase abi ma wi aseda ebi ato Ghana. Wo so sa be president edi. Na wa hwe se adofo no but na midu afa ma hu de entia oja ya adwuma no de entia oja special prosecutor because ana abeye obvious say was Mahama otimi de Mahama etu otimi di Mahama atem otimi di nasem ema mra ene ni di ni se de sitie enso ma na midu onso odwane ye because ono ane party member NDC ni de onya me fa ne ngotu. Na asemi de Mahama no ye vice president ena odi se adwuma o say expanding 6 good years or ye vice president between 2009 to 2015 or ye vice president o yes adwirimu no and okoye president so and so 3 years of course yes adwirimu no na wo president e was a bo man ho ban o president e was so protect oman no se be ya ade bia ekoso na ese wo man na wo be gina pintin abo oman o mbom na wo koton Ghana akoji sika na wa Ghana man obi a okoton mo man akoji sika de na onu ye obi a osam koto abade ma no wa koton oman na akoji sika se show enka yenim se bia enka Ghana ube president utimi tu kwan kwa manone kope investors and your maba na say year of return na do be ho adwuma wa America na de ekeka ho ba o mo ba Ghana nya asem ketwa they say Mahama be di president onu mo ntimi tu kwan ma America bi enti mo musa Mahama sa de ti de say ntimi tu kwan enko America ana so ntimi tu kwan enko UK na ni bra biri nyina ne se enti no so ye president at all cost. It is said any better no president now will pen then you break to the extent they say. No matter what be the case now, also your president because when you say you didn't never do oh now the other who be say wait there a simple mathematics. Court documents here, court documents. A idea won't mean kase and yen no quarry a court documents. Information in na ewo obi abetimi akwa asese na wono so aka ho asem. Court document is court document. Mahama corruption e born hono esum bebre. Na Ghana man mo koto aba dia ma obi a mo koto ama obi a ontimi ntu kwan ko France, ontimi ntu kwan ko UK, ontimi ntu kwan ko US because o tu kwan ya e be che no. Anyame na me kan NPP da dia betu dwasisi a. Enti wa hwe se oni ni nua dwirima o ma ye Ghana dwirima Mahama ni nua ye Ghana na ma che na midu ya use special prosecutor osi Mahama wo insurance bi e wo no ho enti because of president Enti de chen ani video corporate president ni nyina ne corporate say NPP president ne okoye NDC presidential candidate no nyina ne say osuro say yebekye no osuro say de ne be court osuro say obedam enti ene de cover ne say presidential na akoye say Nana Tata ne opposition leader Nana Tata we dey simple why ya de no documents nyina na de awre ko ne say Womutimi Spanish company. Etimi di animo jeje bribes on behalf of Omo. Eyasem kitwa. Na dia bufu wom ni se bribes je akura se eye wo arrears. Mu koje bribe o sa koje hu arrears. Hey, adofonom we ya asem asi o. Asi court documents asi. Aviaseman the whole world investigators are social asem no ebi wo UK ebi wo US ebi wo France and omo social asem no and omo hu establish say former president Mahama one na government official number 1 Martinamidu so abeka na adenti na mantimi am prosecute Mahama adenti na muntimi ntu anamo enti Mahama bonim say Senanado ewe ne pe obechende natu enya so obechende natu mo emmerani Mahama bedi forever and they say no the akonya na wo pe nyina no or pep for protection say be ya yentimi enye ne hwe na wa hwe se obi adwiri mu die wa ye wo man Ghana mu wa ye dwiri mu wo man Ghana mu ti say na Ghana man mu koto abade amana na de be na person de Ghana ko e de se ba bi aduru no obi ama na ni enna ho se Mahama de no because eniema e koso no dwirim di a wa ye no enye dwirim ketwa wa ye dwirim ankasa Mahama ye dwirim ankasa we de okwa court documents ne wo ho kwayo mo fa so approve deal no say team the attorney general's office and then I know assign how many minutes no they can you assign now to answer the about ministry on the minister then I know assign no me the copper president office then I know also assign no me the parliament then I know approve just orchestrated crime create loot and share why you me dey we share the massa akoye create loot and share enti we no Ghana man enti ma akoto aba e de ma president obi obedi president ontimi ntu kwan kwa America ontimi ntu kwan enko France en ontimi ntu kwan enko UK enye na kaminim ze say Mahama kora ontimi ntu kwan sese because of suro so kwa ebechi no February February etwamu Mahama ntimi kwa America da ontimi ne passport no so timi ko ba bia o wotimi ko country bia ye kase corruption na ni abrante no so tikuro ha no Kevin Taylor mo se mani magu ase we nya doctored video na mo dia begu na na do ani ma se wakoje bribe we ye bribe ankasa bribe enya video amakọ sesa no ye campaign video mo de begu na ani ma se ye bribe we ye bribe ankasa oza Kevin Taylor wa Mahama elusu sese wa Mahama nani magu ase sese se ka se Kevin Taylor was disappointed Mahama na monte ase who begu na na do ani ma se wa we bi asem na koduru Mahama face criminal charges internationally we are say akesiem and we face criminal charges kese pa enti say no wo suro so obeko kura efra America enie me kura na me nam hey now president who suro so obeba ha hey na say ya big power hapa because they timi nante free now what the president untimi mahakura na just untimi mesi airport kura na wabewuram and na untimi what the president untimi nko UK na adofonom obi a what the president untimi ntu kwan okwa ye bechi no enam criminal deals bi a waye na Ghana for entimu ko yi obi a wo kwa ye be che no na mo beti say news breaking news Ghana mampanyini yen ka say former president na mo koto aba no na sasa na ombeka Ghana mampanyini ya che no wa hey na nya Ghana ko ya na Ghana bai enti se mo koto aba na mo hwe ni ye ni man koto ama de be che no na ko che na ye musa ye hwe investment ben kra no betimi aye because we are sebetum power countries akese miensinya Ghana ni omoye business maybe to say UK maybe to say United States maybe to say France na the ekosini enti Ghana man decision jina wa kasa woso so make a choice a ebeboa ewo wabrabo enye choice a uko make a e dia sembebrew hwe ne ensema yate ne wa yaso eba asem ba yi me kran ba ye video say Mahama now you're president. And you're president. Na company be a good gun and animasin. And Cabrabontain about justifies it. And yet, the company they can defend the integrity of the country you belong to. Mahama couldn't do that. And he hasn't come out officially to refute that allegation. So just assess it. So if he becomes the president, can he travel to UK? Can he travel to US? Can he travel to France? He's already been just as a matter. It began on mine where you clear manifestations. Mahama, Obutiminya Dajinya Mere, Omunya Dajinya Mere, Ekreti, Siquaya, Ombefaso, every sika, and bribes. Now, if we create this aquina. Now, fe womo alutu no ma share amount omo. Momusa say. Momusa one day oba ya na de. Plain deals kwa no you. Plains deals kwa Brazil de no Brazil nyama international. Brazil deal omo koye plain asem. Ah womo koye ya. Professor Amos is a bit that. So deal with there. It's a birth imagination. Into a setting up committee so I'm investigating as early as possible. And one of Professor Mills and the Yari Mukoye dear or Shere Nimba. Intianshe Ora Mahama. What justify actually Ghana for? Say Omunim Koya Fasu create loot no more share. And Sama and then Sikapa Sika 5 Sika Omudi 2 day 5 million asamo million asem. Now what shall say? Million and ya Ghana sika aburuchire sika. Modika 3.8 million pounds bribe. Samuel Adam Mahama niyan muye ya mose akwaje bribes no bribe no arrears mo anya adwuma bia krono amobuko boye so mose akwaje krono ho arrears arrears mo kwaje na makoye fake documents mo establish as companies na mo di book Ghana for Ghana mo de ton Ghana di e wa manone mo ton o my Ghana jisika di e wa manone and the other for the upper president of Ghana na sem ne yeken kwaya wa faso ne na busia o matima dupu Ghana enya asem ketwa aku Ghana animas internationally aton wo man nani monyam kanya na nado ene baaye ena wabe save o man animonyam ekuta wo man ya ka Ghana koya na anke baaye enti adofonom obia mfa entu no hofo se o koto aba hweniema yie se unkoye mistake enkoto ma Mahama na akoto ma na onama na yakoche na oye ne den onama se sei abroche na ontimi mabiemu na wa president who face international and criminal case we internationally there ayasem abroche ontimi tukwa ma abroche biemu ena betina konya so president obeye den pa no enne na bia ka America for person be invest wo Ghana ontimi full plane no kwa America mose mo koto am na Ghana dey be mistake no Ye kasa obi oje bribe. Multi figure 3.8 million pounds. No, almost 5 million pounds. It's almost 3.8. After na kakra ne ba for mo koje arrears. Sikano bribe GM arrears. Na obi ko support na na do campaign t-shirt any 40,000 Ghana cedis. Mo se na na do akoje bribe. Enim guasie. Mom. NDC. Ebas deal ya maye. Sa dream dia maye. Mo ka ho asem. Me de wudi atema. Mo ya na ya block mo because ultimate atem o me page so. Enye o page. Ye ni atem. Me mo din so no you afiri so. Ubedi atema no anu me mo di me you afiri so. Untimi nkyere wadwene nyansa so na be di atema. Eno anu ma you afiri mu kama. Share. Mini anam. Ye akwaso Ghana no emu adin. Momi akoba audio we ni enti asem bi ewom.
Mechiawo megidi se anopenso ho ye pa nyame sha opa na onyuma pa wudi unu aba George nani Daddy Fred me say anope me hwade life Mustafa the speech na ya wo ye hu program me hwade life and I was even shocked the meti ye no say Mahama pra say wontumi ntu kwan kokose nkronkro no so no I was very shocked. Now that is over kaya sa same way no I said it earlier. Sir, Mahama pray some back to power. Just one thing. I've told you before. So, one of your videos, no so, at the YouTube, I check a crack. Make I say, Mahama nim the Oma ye, money Oma disika Oma didinia diade, and to almost roses and anasamba power sake to crow. Ya bet you omina kwa kugum. One may be freezy or my sex, ye be freezy. Adi jo munya padie. Abo omo ka. No bako dem so bako dem. Enti to avoid sa enimguasia ne sa or how ne beto omo no. Enu nti ana Mahama ne NDC party no omo forswa se kwa biere mu by hook or by crook they will come back to power to avoid sa jail na omo beko ne sa enimguasia ebe kan omo no. I said it earlier. And I'm not surprised. Who even knows? Say Bikra Anwa, there's more to tell, and I say secrets Bikra hide somewhere. So, anya Ghana for ye dear entin wobo. Mahama nya dia wo gen Ghana for ho. I ni pebidi na chi say wo ba and a free education or so be ni ye and or say university fees ni ade ade obetwe bi amayen and a fine ko see he. It is never like that. Mahama nim dienti a wo force wa se kwan biam wo define no so spiritually and physically wo mu gu na na do anim ase wo mu pe ne kune ne wo sunsun mu aso so ma ya enye ye da na enye ye so da wo man kasa efidie ne be yi wo mu na wo man kasa hwehwe ase afo mu anim gu ase ntuma efrefra na wo man kasa siesie wo mu akoma they will fall into their own pit wo ma digin mu. What you say? Eti Mahama de o ye nyina wonya supporters bi mu omo boado ne ade ni nyina no. Eya just one thing. One to avoid going to jail, and as ye be di do omunya pade afiri omo nsem. That is very simple thing. Na yesa Ghana for ye di ntina wo mo baba ko ton. Makasa semi so long ago and sana de bia de so mehu anasa medwen so until say Ghana for you very careful Ghana for you very careful pa na sa comfortable wi amwa we no wan san ama amegege boss site ni na de ade amfa mani nuanom na wo man san beton Ghana ni kra say do omo beton we di pa because wono na oye pani a obi entumi fa ne kwa ba bia. Now before so be fra konwa so in 4 years time no na che se ono aso so no woni baby a wo dwane akọ oh da obe hand over no a nwumre no a de anchi no kuremu na wo dwane na mo antumi anche na akotum eti Ghana for onye very careful where to a wise is enough na Mahama de me de minim sai boni a o madi ni sika a wo madi no wo mu suro sana na 4 years a wo san aba no wo ho be kire wo mo pa amoma kodidem And this is the reason why. That is the only reason why I almost also as about in the no one be complete ni media so awodi wo wie so asika aka no wo wia na hwe wo dwane akope ba bia atena Ghana fo mo nsentumi so ni mudta na mudi na kotum enti na ne meka na where to a wise is enough.
Yeda wase mi niaba yeda wase Germany no de be George na ma wansem no se de siko say obi busa se na de na do no monche no eno nti na mate na midu na natuma ho special prosecutor yes investigate na prosecute mate na midu koduru baabi a wo hu se baabi eduru no ye be chi Mahama de natu e de animguase ye be brand this party ni ti mate na midu so wa resign e na o sha ase e na wo gu na nado anim ase kan se potofa na nado asem ni nyina no eno no say 5 million euros bribe 5 million euros bribe anya bribe kumaun omo de agidie mu oduru pa 5 million euros bribe eya sam ketwa eye izetin oh yanhwe na minim se bribes kra na agi arrears se waje bribe o sa akwache ho arrears nenti krono pa na munim krono bokase ese na musa akwache ho arrears Ghana man Martina midu enhu wei a na wosen ko time chi Mahama etimi ne ko gina court Martina midu anya ho hwe wo say Mahama insurance be cover Mahama because a presidential candidate enti obi koye boni bi obi koye dwirimudie bi na o say hwehwe na semu no akọ contest party bi ntia enti akwa don kwa ka mbe jama na nante wo anasa the power from Yakamba Jama nante wo equality before the law. Mahama is not above Ghana's law. Enti say emerabia fom no obi ko wia banchi obi ko wia ntos obi ko je bribe police ni ko je bribe 100 Ghana cedis ni ade ni kotum yede ni ko court ni kotum so aje bribe adenti na mo evidence say Mahama dwirimu die we waye a akos wode nam ni nua so na ye a court evidence ni nyina wo ho a ni ade ni di agoro Martina Midu were disappointed Ghanaians. Or your beer, what caused big financial loss to the state. Entimusha Martina Midu Juma obedi ye. Na chile wa namu guna na adu eni masia. Na fi mwaku baby ya ufili bai. Adia da ho clear, very obvious. Sen niema Mahama aye. E wase merani Mahama edino. Oma ye nukukwasa sam. Enti adofonum. Say information I saka enu say Mustafa Hamid na dia tuja say Ghana for e was right so mo busa omo former president is also be president say obedi president obetime to kwa ko UK and obetime to kwa ko US and obetime to kwa ko France eti Mahama ye busa say obetime to kwa ko UK abere ben yes since February ni Mahama said na ko timi ba America da bia ube no waduru America no kwa ese ontimi ntukwa ma America bi enti na ika vintela atasi wo hu de wonye no enti adofonom se ba bia duru no o mahu se wo ye dan na mu betima bam enti wo se o pe kwan bi so na wotimi defending ho je wotimi protecting ho na Ghana man mu koto aba akoma obi se woni o man so a Mahama mu koto mana ontimi ntu kwan kwa abroche no akopay investors amoma bebie nnuma e de abagana amoma tima bebo omaya manetumpon Mahama bribery allegation kasie we bata no ho onu mom na mokodi nachi na nimguase ben na okotu kwan na omokoche no wa manone a womokoche na manone a Ghana for president ni achi ni yo asembe ni enti mom ye ntu ya hofo sesi amene mo kasai menyin se na nado de bedi agro na nado we ni akonya ni via mo kai wo sese Martina Midu wantimi amfa Mahama ankogina court na nado attorney general mo de be court and enton chenkra so no say some appointing new special prosecutor it is a new person automatically asem no ombedi asem ni ye say hwe ade eye me da wo mo eye kra ni se ade eye me da a wo mo ye kra ni se internationally sika wo ma wi akogu international banks nyina no NPP ye ho adwuma se be ya omedi sika ni nyina besa be repatriate aba Ghana. It is my best dream way. Na mo man your audacity say mo be gu Ghana man pagina ni mas. Mo man yes dream way. We are talking about 5 million euros. Now mo the 40,000 Ghana is be gu na na do ni mas say obi akọ boa ni campaign 2016. T-shirts any sika 40,000 Ghana mo di be gu na ni mas. Meanwhile grass at am no nye president. Now we are candidate. Obi aso to me ekoje donation every baby. And this is very sad situation. Where you are there, Ghana, my Obia to know for baby, I say, I didn't econo, and Yansam Ketua. Nana, Adudanko Kufuado. Bonkonko to mano, now Mwana Ghana Puntu and Tumpon. Now Uncle Sunni Ghana and him, Emma Ghana Nuru, a chile. Now Mokotuma Mahama, na Zaya Kochina. Mokotuma Mahama, na Samokotuna, Nagana Koyana, Nagana by. Obi a Ghana mine or person obeti Ghana kunya. Internationally, criminal charge bond mama so. Hey, asembeni. Eti adofo we yi ade was a Ghana ni bia de to no ho say. E mere na duru ne e mere a ukoto aba ma mampanyina. Na kuma me pefe. Kama. Me di besia. Me di daddy Fred. Yabesa aba biem. Ene yemkoi yabesa aba. Intimu de montweme. Yabesa aba biem. Me di daddy Fred. Makra mu nyina. Mahama, adenti na ntimi ntu kwan ko UK. Adenti na ntimi ntu kwan ko US. O Mahama me se me dawo opa bra US me enhwe. Me dawo se fru prem bra US. Kene ya obeche no.